Let's return now to our top story this evening, which is about threats received by EQC, threats against their staff. Joining me now is Renee Walker, who's the Deputy Chief Executive of EQC. Good evening. What could you tell us about the threat which we've been told was received on May the 1st?
Hi, Lisa. Yes, as you have covered earlier in the bulletin, we did receive an anonymous threat on May the 1st, and as a result, we have increased our security across sites while we work with the police to investigate the threat.
What was the nature of the threat?
The threat was non-specific, so it talked about staff, but not in specific location, about danger and threat to our staff, but without naming people or locations. But as with anything of this nature, we're taking it very seriously and making sure that we investigate and try and just get to the bottom of whether the level of threat is real, perceived, and what we need to do to support our staff through this period.
So when they mentioned staff, did they mention hurting staff?
Sorry?
Did they mention in the letter plans to hurt staff?
Yes, they did.
How so? What did they say?
I can't recall the contents of the letter at this point, and I can't go into a lot of detail because there is a pending police investigation, but it does talk about causing harm to staff.
Did the mosque shootings feature in the letter?
Yes, they were referenced.
And how so?
As that being a warning and as something that we needed to consider, more so, again, just in the context of that had just happened and joining the two together.
So how did the threat arrive and who received it?
The threat was received in the post, and it was received actually by another department of government because it was non-specific. It was addressed to EQC but without specific location details, so it did take some time to get to us.
So, Renee, it didn't have a particular person's name on the address, as an address to anyone in particular?
No, it didn't. It talked to EQC staff and management. It was addressed.
So the Minister has confirmed that EQC was sent a bullet at some point, but that was some time ago, correct?
Yes, we have received a number of threats over the years, and again, we are working with police to see if there's any link between all of the threats that have been received.
So why do you think there is potentially a connection between this most recent threat and the bullet that you were sent about 2 years ago?
There are similarities in the letters received, but again, without the police investigation having been completed, we can't speculate on whether they are the same sender. There's no specific details, so none of the threats that we've received name a sender or give us detail about who that person is. So the police will follow that line of investigation, and they will be the ones to confirm whether they believe they were sent from the same person.
Right, so the bullet arrived with a letter as well, obviously. So yes. What was the nature of that letter?
Very similar, so non-specific, that talked about the bullet being a warning as per the mosque shootings being referenced as a warning. So again, non-specific, not talking about individuals, but more just making threats against staff.
Were there common phrases in these two letters or common references?
The police are looking for that type of detail. Similarities, as I said, were that they are non-specific but threatening harm, and the police are just looking at whether they are potentially from the same person.
Renee, you say you've had a variety of threats. I mean, how common is this? How often do you get threats, and what form do they come in?
So obviously there's a lot of people that are unhappy at times, and they can range from verbal abuse through to the more formal threats. Our formal threats are less frequent these days as we're dealing with a smaller number of claims, but we take anything that is a threat towards our staff or our staff's safety very seriously. Obviously, if there's any threat of violence against staff, against contractors, or people threatening harm to themselves, we do everything we can to make sure that we're putting measures in place to keep people safe.
Yeah, when you say measures in place to keep people safe, are some staff feeling like they don't want to be in your work environment, that they feel unsafe?
We check in with staff regularly, so we have put increased security in place, and we are running situational awareness training sessions. We are updating them on a daily basis. We have an incident management plan. On the day that the letter was received, I was in Wellington but flew straight back to Christchurch to be with the team here, because obviously the team has obviously been affected by the mosque shootings in March as well. And while we have a number of customers still under enormous pressure and strain, we also have staff working in an incredibly difficult context at times. So we put everything in place that we can to try and make sure that staff do feel safe coming to work. We have counsellors on site so they can talk to us if they have additional requirements or if there's anything that we can do to help with that. But absolutely, and particularly after March 15, there were a number of comments about people not feeling safe coming to work, and we, again, take that very seriously.
Renee, just before you go, the stamp on the letter, I'm assuming it's stamped here, where did it come from?
There wasn't enough detail to be able to ascertain that. So again, that's a line of investigation that the police will follow up on.
Appreciate you joining us this evening. That's Renee Walker, who's the Deputy Chief Executive of EQC, talking about a threat that they received in the mail on May 1st and increased security at EQC as a consequence of that.